There's a holdup in the Bronx, Brooklyn's broken out in fights. There's a traffic jam in Harlem that's backed up to Jackson Heights. There's a scout troop short a child, cruise ships do and I know wild. Car 54, where are you?
My name is Sindoni, and thank you for tuning into the broadcast of Car 54, Where Are You? In today's program, I will put the spotlight on the New York City Police Department. In January of 2009, I was headed into the New York City subway to go into Manhattan. I planned to take the overhead J or the M train into the city. As I climbed the stairs up to the subway station, I noticed a young black man, approximately 16 years old, jump over the subway turnstile and avoid paying the fare. I then noticed the subway clerk reacting to the fare jumper pick up his telephone in the booth. Within a matter of minutes, I observed at least a half a dozen New York City police cars block traffic in 4 directions on the corner of Broadway and Myrtle Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. I could see now at least a dozen police officers running up the subway steps. I then looked to the opposite direction of the other subway steps and saw what appeared to be at least 24 more New York City police officers running up the stairs. With so much chaos and confusion going on, I decided it was best to wait a couple of minutes outside of the subway turnstile to find out why so many policemen had converged on the scene for what appeared to me as only a fare jumper violation. I could see nearly 36 policemen in a circle. The young man was pinned against the wall. I looked on in disbelief that an entire police precinct was involved in writing a summons for an unpaid subway ride, the cost of which was approximately $2. As I watched the bizarre event, I thought to myself, how many policemen does it take to write a ticket? One by one, the police officers began to leave the subway station. It was at that time I took out a notepad from my pocket and began counting the police officers out loud and writing the numbers down. I remember counting up to 31 when one of the officers who had just filed past me did an about face and walked directly towards me. The officer gets within 6 inches of my face and says, "I can see you can count." Unnerved by his scare tactic, I answered, "Yes, my mother taught me very well." "Oh, so you're a wise guy." "No, I'm not a wise guy at all. I'm just a curious guy. I was just curious as to why over 30 police officers had to be called for a 16-year-old boy trying to avoid paying a $2 subway fare." "I see you were taking pictures. Are you a lawyer?" he now asks. "No, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a social activist. I wanted to make sure the boy wasn't subjected to any police brutality for such a minor infraction." "Well, I'm going to make you a promise the next time I see you, I'll be coming after you," he answered. "Really?" I said. "Is that so?" "Yes, that's right," he snapped back at me. "Don't think I didn't see you taking those pictures of all the police officers." "Officer, you don't scare me," I answered. "Well, pal, remember what I told you. The next time I see you, I'm going to arrest you," he answered. I laughed and shouted back at him, "I don't think you'll be smart enough. You really don't know who I am, do you? Why don't you leave before you do something you're going to regret?" "I have done nothing wrong," I answered. Another officer walks over and escorts the angry police officer down the subway steps. I waited inside the subway terminal until the arresting officer escorted the young boy to the police car below. Because a large crowd had gathered to watch, the police refrained from using brutality. There were just too many witnesses. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to Car 54, Where Are You?
There's a holdup in the Bronx, Brooklyn's broken out in fights. There's a traffic jam in Harlem that's backed up to Jackson Heights. There's a scout troop short a child, cruise ships do and I know wild. Car 54, where are you?